Morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our end of the year media availability. We have a decent list of folks coming in. We're kicking off with Sporting Director Lutz Pfannenstiel and Head Coach Bradley Carnell, followed by a plethora of players afterwards. But we'll get right into it. So no opening statement. Tom, if you want to just kick us off and go with the first question, we'll begin.
Lutz just says, you look at the season, how'd you like how it went? And what do you got to do next to do better?
Yeah, I mean, obviously since Sunday, there is a certain little bit disappointment there. That's normal because we got eliminated too early. But I think the most important thing is to look over the whole season and not just like have that short-term memory. I think it's important for us to have a long-term memory where we started, where the journey brought us during the season. So overall, I think it definitely was a very successful season. It was unexpected for many people, surprising to many people, but I think we worked hard to ending up in the regular season where we were. And of course, that's when you hope to go even further and further and further. But I think that's a big part now for us to have that motivation to do very well next year as well. But reflecting to the last season, definitely the good feelings and the way we played, the results, the records we set, that must be in the front part of our brain. And obviously also realize that for next year, I know it won't be a children's party. It will be even tougher than this year. Yeah, but I'm sure you will ask me a question about later on anyway. So I just leave it right now with the feeling for that season.
And Bradley, how do you look at the last two games compared to the previous 34? How do those games? How does that season balance out for you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've been speaking about it, right? Short term, long term, what it has been and where it was and how it is. And yeah, we reflect back and we want to adapt and to overcome the results of these games. And that's something to look forward to, right? So while we look on that and we think that fine margins define playoff games, and these were moments that we let slip go or we let it go, and we have to live with that, right? So but we have a weight or a burden off of our shoulders of being that expansion team. And, I thought we carried that over the course of the season masterfully. I think the way we took on each and every day, the way we challenged each other each and every day, the way we grew as people, as coaches, as players, the way we took steps forward as a group. And the only way to take next steps forward is to learn through failures, right? So we learn through these failures and we put them forward to the next use and to the next opportunity. And when I arrived here Monday morning, one day after, I arrived, as if it was almost the first day back. I arrived here with full energy and a place where we pinch ourselves every single day to come to work. And everybody, every player, every staff member feels that way. So again, really excited what the future holds, but really excited for being part of this community and the history that we said. We are not trendsetters. This is a city that, inspired us to perform or outperform or overperform because of the legacies that were left here in place way before our time. You sit in the back there, you know what it's all about. History and legacies. So yeah, just excited to take these steps forward, to learn from them, adapt and overcome, and we move forward.
For both of you guys, thanks for doing the press conference. Clearly the pressing style is successful. There were times, of course, notably in the first playoff game here, when you had possession over 50%, it wasn't as successful. I guess, can you kind of explain, as you build the team for next year, look forward to next year, can this team be excellent at both pressing and possession? Is that doable, and how? Or
Yeah, I think I'll jump on that one before Lutz tackles me. Yeah, I mean, if you think about San Jose here early in the year, right? We dominated possession. We had more possession. We won the game. We played the possession where we needed the possession to be had. All right. So I think the possession against Kansas was in the wrong end of the field. So, credit to them. And that's where we need to learn and grow, obviously, right? So I don't think that is a defining factor for us. I think how we manipulate the opponent is a factor for us. How do we not get lulled into those, east to west parties that we don't want to be part of? That's something we don't stand for, and something that we got lulled into. So, how can we now manipulate the opponent as we did, I think, in Kansas? A totally different feel about that game, a totally different tension, and, played more on the terms that we wanted the game to be played on. So, credit to the boys for adapting in that space of time to know what we're going to be faced up against. And yeah, I mean, these are the tactical battles, right? These are the moments for us and me as a leader to grow, and as a coach to challenge myself in many more ways. But yeah, the bigger challenge is not about having more possession or changing games with possession. I think it's more about critical moments, and critical moments. I feel we gave away too many goals. I felt too many tight games got away from us. You think about games, LAFC away, Seattle away. So these type of games that were on the knife's edge to the 75th minute, and we concede the first one, and then all of a sudden we lose 3-0. And then it's a terrible game in the eyes of everyone. But for us, these were really tight games. So, from getting a shutout or getting a road point or getting a road victory, there's fine margins, but those games become blowout games in a 3-0 scoreline. So this is something that we want to tighten up, is obviously expected goals against us or goals against us, and creating chance creation in the final third for me is one of those where I want to get better at, and things to explore, and to get better with my staff. And how do we keep pushing the envelope every single day?
Yeah, I think really put it in a very good place already. I think it's for me always a little bit too easy when I see, or when I hear, when I read. Well, this is it's a pressing team. My wife is calling. I can't answer now. Sorry. So yeah, it's too easy to say we are a pressing team. We are a turnover team. I mean, you guys watched a lot of games, and sometimes it sounds to me like we taking the ball, we whacking it up the way, and then we picking up a second ball, win it, and score a goal. That's not the case. I thought we played some really good football. You cannot play 34 games. An unbelievable football. You sometimes need to grind and need to work hard. But we did play some games where we had possession, we dominated possession, we won games deserved, we created great goals. So we don't want to be that Route 1 team who only presses and only pushes you. I think we have good enough quality with players who are good enough with the ball, and we proved that. So it's always, as I said, it's a bit too easy to say, well, that's like a Rumpelmannschaft. What is the English word for that? Like the Rumble in the Jungle team. We are not.
Sunday League.
We are not that. So this, I think, it's just a wrong perception. Which when we're talking about, we like to press, we like turnovers. We want to have the turnovers in the opposition's half. This is what we are successful with. This is what we enjoy. But it doesn't mean we cannot play football. And I think we proved that we can play good football, and we want to improve to play even better football. So that is the most important part. So when I hear, well, now they have been figured out, and now exactly you give them the ball and they don't know what to do. Well, let's see next year if this is the case. I think this season, we didn't pick up that many points. We didn't win 17 games because we just were running at people and stealing the balls up high. That's not the case. There is too much work and too much detail in, which worked out. And for us now, it's to confirm what we did this season, to confirm next season that we are good and we know what we're doing and we have a plan. That doesn't change the philosophy. We still will play our ways, and have they figured us out or not? Whatever. Let's see if they have figured us out, or let's see if we're changing little bits and pieces. But in the end of the day, our style, you see in the academy, in the second team and in the first team, that is what we defined ourselves as St. Louis City, and that is the way we want to go forward.
Next we go to John Lupo.
This question is, I have two questions, one for each of you. Bradley, we talked about the experience or lack thereof that this team had in the playoffs. Do you feel like there are maybe some things that you took from the two games against Kansas City that you can apply to, say, next year when this team has Champions Cup football, Leagues Cup football, and hopefully more playoff football? And to that end, Lutz, do you feel like with the fact that you're going to have additional games, do you feel like that? Do you feel like that? You want to create some more, maybe acquire some players for depth purposes to have a deeper roster to handle the bigger load, the fact that there'll be more matches next season.
That one first. Yeah.
I didn't listen. You said
It was really
the question was for Bradley.
So the first part, John, with regards to the experience, the only way to gain experience is to get to moments that you were never in before, right? So we were never in a playoff game. Myself as a coach, at the Red Bulls, I managed to get a team into the playoffs, but didn't coach that playoff game. Now we get a team to the playoffs and have a really successful season. The only way to define our next steps are, to learn from moments. And I don't think it's through lack of experience. I just think it's through moments that, where we can and cannot do, or how we see ourselves in a certain situation in a game that gets away from us, right? So, and we had opportunities in moments to keep that game tight. We had opportunities in moments to, go up a goal in the first leg, 2-1. So we did have moments and opportunities, and we know the way that this league is built, fine margins, have meaningful impacts, and the game against Sporting KC in the first round or in the second round that we had here at City Park, it was 73 minutes in at 0-0. We scored 4 goals in 12 minutes. They scored against us 3 goals in 15 minutes. So, so that's just how tight this game was between Sporting KC and us over the complexity and the course of the season. So, do we achieve or do we reach each other at different stages in the season, right? They're a team that were really on the up and up after a miserable start. We were a team who consistently plugged away at it, right? So, we by no means never thought it was perfect. And we always felt we had to push each other every single day to get the utmost maximum what we can do as a group. So, and this was exciting for me. It's a great challenge for me as a coach to step out here every single day and still, go against all odds, against the grain, and just to inspire and to see the inspiration from the outside world, talking about here at City Park, talking about in the neighborhood where I live, in the community where, my kids go to school, or everything like this, has been a momentous occasion, on and off the field. So I look at these moments and I'll put that down to experience too, because I know what it means to my daughter's friend. All right.
Yeah, depth, another one of my favorite topics through the season. When we started, we had no depth because we had players nobody knew and everybody was bad. Then halfway through the season, suddenly our depth was the best in the league, and now we don't have a depth again. So that's very interesting to see sometimes how results or moments, Bradley mentioned very nicely, moments affect the opinions of people. Let me jump in the moments quickly. So again, Bradley always takes away the things I want to say, which is cool. When we played against Kansas that first game, it was a game of moments. It was they had 3 shots from distance, 3 good strikes, and they scored out of that 3 chances, which they had a very low goal factor, X factor, to really score that 3 goals, but they did. So they caught us on the moment, and we just didn't find our way back. Look at the second game. It was one moment just before halftime, which lots of people thought it breaks their heart. But it didn't break our heart. It didn't break us. I thought we played a good second half. It was the best second half we probably played in the last month. And we were in till the 103rd minute. I timed it. It was 103 minutes long. I thought that was the story of this game, And yeah, of course, we wanted to come out on top. But when it comes to depth, we are the team in the league where, when it comes to numbers of players with high minutes, I think we must be miles ahead of anybody else. We have that's how many different players started, how many different players had a debut. So that is, for me, depth. If you have 12 players who play nearly every single game, and the guys coming on for 3, 5, or 7 minutes, then maybe you don't have depth. But we are guys who played 2 years ago college, who played 2,000 minutes. This is what I call depth. And will we still work on the depths and trying to improve the team? Again, it has nothing to do with depth. It has to do that areas of the squad where we can be better, where we should be better, where we have to improve, and where we want to improve. And that is exactly where we will look into the transfer market. But the word depth is something which doesn't really fit too much in our season right now. I think it's probably one of the worst words we can choose describing our season, because we probably had the biggest depth in the whole league without anybody expecting it.
So continuing on depth, learning, and things like that. The last playoff game had 4 players that started that last year were in MLS Next Pro or USL. Celio also came in second half. Last year he was in MLS Next Pro. Can you talk about the approach, the process you guys follow since the beginning of the year to get these players ready for the biggest stage?
Yeah, for me, it's about, developing the person and the skill set of the individual, but within a philosophy, right? For me, the system is always the main thing. And, we identified key players or players in certain areas to make sure that they are ready to apply the principles, to apply the system. And through that, from a team who had no depth at all going into the season, Lutz just alluded to it, how many players made minutes, debuts, 7 of them, celebrated debuts with their families. And yeah, I believe, we have to stick to our strict routine, our strict principles, and our philosophy, because that is our DNA. This is who we are. And you can see it on full display, not just now, but also last season, right? Getting to, the Next Pro Cup final, going down to Columbus. And then this year again, we always joked in the office, do we think this can take the next step into next season? And it did, and then some, because guys who are never on the map now are on the map, and guys who never played a minute in the MLS are played, like he said, thousands of minutes, right? So this for us is about success in year one. Success shouldn't be just defined on did they win the playoff game that no one ever knew that they're going to play in, or should have played in, so this defines us. And we sit here at the end of it all now, and I still think it's too soon after Sunday to reflect and to, be too comfy, because the loss still hurts. And we felt we could have gone a lot further based on, the squad and the season that we had. But then we're starting to reflect, starting to put things into perspective, and the perspective, and it should be an enjoyable journey looking back at how the season has gone. So to put guys in a position to start a playoff game, who played Next Pro, who didn't play a MLS season yet, I mean, this should be a wonderful moment for the club, just to see the growth. And it's everything we embody, on and off the field. And yeah, to see it come to fruition is extremely humbling. And but we've been given a platform. We've been given a standard, never mind just a facility that we work at, but also the history and the culture that St. Louis have set, just in terms of sporting success and culture, soccer success and culture. So, we've just done our job. And I think that's the most important thing. We gave ourselves a platform and a foundation for not me or him to thrive. It's for our players to thrive in, an environment where they feel comfortable, an environment where they want to grow every single day, and they think they can get better every single day. And the perfect example for me is Tim Parker, who has had his best career as a pro, or his best season as a pro. So these are moments when you think even a guy at, that age to still think he can get better, which is a great example for all the rest of us who, have come from Next Pro, or just recently come out of college, or just recently had our first season, or sniff in the major league. So, if an old, guy who's been around the block, and I'm not saying Tim's old, but he's had a great story to tell.
Next we go to Sendio and Dumo.
Thank you. Just a question to you both. Just Mr. Lutz. What do you think? What would you say attracted you to Coach Brad, and just most importantly, given his impact and as well as Njabulo Blom's impact in the division, do you think this is going to spike, the interest in more South Africans in the division? And just to quote Brad, just congratulations firstly on a massive season and the impact in the US, coach. I'm in Cape Town. From when you started, I think at UJ, University of Johannesburg in 2012, to where you are now, When you look back in the strides that you've made, how far you've come, and ultimately, what's your goal? Where do you see yourself in the nearby future? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, he said what attracted me. I mean, he's a good-looking guy, right? So that was obviously the first thing we thought about. No, I mean, I'm a joking mood today, as you can see, talking about depth all the time. Yeah, I mean, with Bradley, I think it was an easy choice, which was easy in the end, but obviously not so easy in the start because we had a big numbers of coaches from all over the world applying for that position. You know, an expansion team is always where big names usually trying to come in and put their handwriting on. But the philosophy of the plan we made, the 5-year plan we made with the ownership was very clear that it's all about a way of playing. It's about a DNA, creating a culture. And we made that decision before how we want to play. So obviously we needed to have a coach who lives it, who breathes it, who understands it, and who's 100% on board. And Bradley was that terrier as a player, you know, which was uncomfortable to play against, to lift it as a player who worked with coaches in Germany who stood exactly for that. So he kind of like learned it by doing it as a player. And then ending up in the Red Bull system as an assistant coach, where there's lots of what's it called? English word.
Similarities.
That's the one. Similar things, and then obviously we want to play a little bit different, and that made Bradley for us out of a big number of coaches the front runner, and we approached him. We wanted to get him here. We got him out from Red Bull, and I think the way he was, you know, obviously last year he was still more or less behind the scenes in the next pro, but that's when the story started. I mean, he was here for a year, so when he talks about culture and he talks about history of St. Louis, of the soccer here, you know, he had a long time to actually be involved, to see what happened here, to see the way the culture actually is built and what happened in the past. And yeah, I think this season just confirmed exactly what we said before. We want to have a coach who is hardworking, who is hands-on, who is young, who is extremely ambitious, who hates to lose, and who believes in exactly that kind of football. And now here we sit, you know, 34 games or a few games later, having a good season. So that was the story why we sitting here right now. And again, I mean, obviously there was well, an expansion team should sign an experienced coach, should sign a big name, should have somebody here who knows this and that. No, not in our case, because we had a plan, and Bradley was exactly the guy who followed into that idea because he knows what it's like, and that's his DNA, and that's why it was a good match.
Yeah, thanks, Sandile. Thanks for tuning in from Cape Town. Yeah, listen, the coaching journey, you know, you go down a pathway of wondering what to do after your career. I retired in 2011 and started at UJ in 2012, and thinking about, you know, always working behind the scenes and trying to prepare myself for moments where, you know, we sit like today, you know, 11 years later. But to see the steps, you know, the most valuable steps taken is when nobody's watching. And when I was given the opportunity at UJ to bring players from communities, you know, to give players educations, degrees, you know, for them to become successful fathers in a program, you know, that can lead them and their families for years to come and build foundations for them. That was the start of the meaning for why I do this, right? So this was an enjoyable moment. And I would say the first 3 years at UJ were the most important years of my career up until date, because that gave me a foundation and a pillar of what I believe in and what coaching should look like, right? So, and then you need to be given chance or opportunities, and you need to utilize those opportunities when the moment comes, right? So playing the game for 18 years and you know, playing in big platforms and, you know, getting a thick skin and being ready to, you know, take on adverse situations or situations you don't know which direction the road will lead you. You have to be brave enough to take those calculated risks. And that's how the journey became, you know, and yeah, long story short, you know, when Lutz phoned me up and said they're starting up a project here, based on, you know, his and my ideologies of the way we see the games and the way we like to treat people, there was a common synergy. And I think that common synergy was, you know, guaranteed when I spoke to Carolyn the very first time. We all agreed on something, and we all said, you know, it's this blue collar worker-like mentality. Get up every single morning, you know, as if it's your last, and just empty the tank. And that's what I feel this group has done for us. I think this, you know, Lutz and I, we probably, you know, along with some of the staff, very early morning risers and get to the office really early and share some good moments with each other. So we know what it takes to be successful now. And this gives me drive every single day. And for me, the journey that's least reflective of me is the one least spoken about me. You know, please show me how your team plays, and then we can tell you how good your coach is. Because that's the way to judge, you know, a coach and his pathway. It's never been about me, and it never will be. And if I can impact people's lives and give them better platforms and foundations for them to grow with their families, that's my purpose, Sandile.
When we move on, can we have one question per person, as we have a bit of a time crunch. So director, one question at either Lutz or Bradley. We got about another 5 minutes with them. So go ahead, Matt.
I'll pick Lutz. Staying away from the D word. Curious about the depth. Curious about the transfer window, summer transfer window, your first of the year, or first transfer window for City. Looking back at the full season now, do you feel like that was successful in what you wanted to get across in the reinforcements, in giving players an opportunity on loan? And does that give you any kind of different thoughts going forward in future transfer windows?
Oh, you mean now the last July window, right? In this summer. Yeah, it was for us a window, the way we did that, what we wanted to do. You know, we knew we want to get opportunities for Isak Jensen and Selmy Peter to get first team minutes, because it is important for them to play. Looking at the development now, especially of Isak, who was now voted one of the top 3 young players in the country in Denmark, playing every game, doing really well, had assists and goals. So that showed us that it's important to sometimes think outside the box, you know. And we want to. It's a young boy. We want to keep the value up, but you also want to keep his hunger for the football up. So it's important that he plays. Same as for Pedro, who got much more minutes than he had here. And yeah, so that loans was, I think, important for us to get players, give him a platform. The players we got in, I mean, you know. We brought both players in with the view to next season, or with especially when it comes to the left back position, more on a backup way. And the way Anthony took his chance was amazing. You know, I mean, he didn't play for Colorado, which was, let's say, they didn't have a brilliant season this year, and he came here and yeah, he did well. He trained hard. He got a good amount of minutes, and it was definitely something which helped us. Torison, you know, that was a piece which was very clear from the start. It's more, can he help us in that part of the season? Let's wait and see. But will he help us next season? That is important. They get a full preparation, a full pre-season in. So remember, last time we spoke, I said that we don't want to have the quick fix. We want to have the strategic positions. That's what we did, and I'm looking forward to I'm already looking forward to the next transfer window. You know, I mean, obviously we have a plan. We have a plan since, not just since Sunday. We have a plan since quite a long time where we want to strengthen, and that's now the work for the next few weeks, to be active, to keep ears and eyes open, and try to again find the right players for our DNA. It doesn't have to be the biggest name. It doesn't have to be the best player out there on the market. It needs to be the guy who fits the best the way we want to play. And this is, again, you know, I'm, as you already know by now, I don't like to change too much of my messaging. Same as the coach, and we are convinced on that pathway which we decided to go. And having now a few weeks which didn't go our way, inclusive the 2 Kansas games, it would be the worst thing in the world to do, to change that and start to doubt it. So I think it's very important to stick to our principles on the field, but also off the field. And that's how we're going to approach the next transfer window.
Jen?
Lutz, your name will come up, but this is for Bradley. Coach, first of all, congratulations on MAC Sports Personality of the Year. I believe that you were selected for that. FYI, it's come out. It was on the radio, so I'm not breaking the news.
Thanks for sharing the news.
Yeah, it was just Tom Ackerman said it this morning. But also maybe more of a reflection from you than really it was a question is when we came after August, as we returned from the break, and each player I talked to on a weekly basis, I would ask them a question, and it was about, do you get this far without coach? And immediately they said, no way. There's no way we don't get here without the messaging from Coach Bradley and from Lutz and being lockstep with each other and making sure that all the players, whether it was Tim Parker with a ton of expertise and he's a veteran versus a brand new player like Anthony, all knew the mission and said how important that was for them getting as far as they've gotten.
Yeah, I think just being open and being vulnerable also, right? Like I'm supposed to be up here with this automatic shield and deflect everything, right? But I think within those walls with my players, we've connected in a bond in a way that we're only humans, right? And I've made mistakes, they've made mistakes, and we get on with it and we move on, right? So, but being open to that dialogue and being open to I wouldn't say, probe each other. I would say push each other a little bit in terms of, they need to keep me uncomfortable and I'll do the same with them. And I think that's a nice open human relationship between people who are not robots, right? We always want robotic behavior and we play in a certain strict style, but behind those walls are just human beings, and kids just want to play and have fun with their friends Monday through Friday and play on the weekends, So how that gets about now and how clear and consistent can I be with the messaging to be like, okay, yes. And maybe that was a strength and can also be, lead down a road of complacency. So it's then up to my leadership group. And then it's an extension of the coaching staff, right? So who says what? Is it only me? Is it only my voice? Or do we open things up? We've had meetings where the players run their meeting themselves. Like I'll walk in, I'll leave the room. I'll be like, this is for you guys, And then sometimes players might speak up when they think that in front of the coach, I can't say this. But again, we'll have strategic meetings like this, team building, So the only way to grow is to show a little bit of vulnerability, a little bit of growth mindset. And, I think that from me as a leader, a new leader in this position, is something I'm embracing and I want to get better at. And I think the players are also feeling a lot more comfort in terms of how this leadership style can help them and aid them in their further careers. So, it's nice to hear. But again, if they find an avenue that helps them get better, then that's the avenue we'll take.
Go to Brendan to wrap up with Tom Schwartz.
Lutz, in looking back now with the number of international breaks, the late break in October, going back to Leagues Cup, can you find anything where maybe that interrupted good run of form for you guys? And what can you take away from it? Not exactly knowing what the schedule looks like next year, but is there something to combat what those stoppages can do to a really hot team?
Yeah, I think it's actually, that's probably, sorry guys, but that's the best question of the day. And the reason is we had a long conversation. We had a long conversation about it this morning, and you're spot on. We started so hot, it was unbelievable. I mean, and every time the international break comes in, you have a bit of a breather, and it's good. But then look, we started training early January, 10th, 12th of January, and it went all the way through the Leagues Cup, then a few days off, but definitely it was a long season. And also for players who never played in that, I would call it calendar, because usually the Europeans playing they're starting in July and they're finishing in May with a little Christmas break. It's also, everything is new. So I think we did get a little bit caught by the last international break with another bye and basically 21 or 22 days, no games, which takes maybe a bit away from momentum. That's not an excuse for us, and we don't want to use it as an excuse because other teams had to deal with similar things. But when you are kind of like running on an overdrive and you're very motivated and everything clicks and you know, let's grind it out, and suddenly you win that Western Conference title, and then there is this long break afterwards. It was not the perfect timing, but then again, I really want to stress on that. It shouldn't be an excuse because it's just the way it happened. Did it interrupt our run? Yeah. Did it interrupt a little bit the momentum? For sure. But then again, that doesn't really lose us in the end of the day a playoff game, or it doesn't cost us a title. It just happened that the timing was meant to be this way. And looking at next year, I mean, the competition's getting more than less, which honestly, I'm super excited being able to play Champions League in the first year possible for us. Second year, actually being in the business. I mean, it's an honor, I mean, I think everybody alone for that one, like really heads off that's something special to play against the best in the Central and North American continent. Yeah, now we're having 4 competitions instead of 3. The timing will get even tighter, and the players will be even under more stress. But honestly, yes, it's tough, but it's also cool. It's a great achievement, and we just have to find the right little switches to switch and work hard and be smart the way you doing it. But yeah, I see it very positive that we have an opportunity, and you look at other teams like Philly, who had to go through the same, or Seattle every year normally goes through the same, and they're doing well. They're in the playoffs. So in the end of the day, it's all up to us. And we are footballers. We want to play games. We want to measure ourselves with the best. Now it's the best in the country, the best in Canada, and now we even have an opportunity with the Leagues Cup and with the Champions Cup, not League, Champions Cup, that we maybe get a team from Costa Rica, from Honduras. It's special. That is, I think, for a player and also for us, what we're working for every day. So it's definitely shouldn't be seen as like, oh, now we have another 4 games to play. No, I'm looking forward for every single one of them.
Go ahead, Brad. Tom.
First, thanks both of you guys for an incredible run. Second to Brad. At what point in this very long season did it dawn on you, either on the pitch or not on the pitch, this is incredibly special, what we're going through?
The preseason, the first scrimmage against Philadelphia, the way we connected, the way Klauss came to me after his San Jose, appearance with Apple. He came back and said, yeah, I feel we've been playing together like a long time. I feel we've been together for 3 years. I feel everyone doubts us. And Klauss was almost the catalyst for all of the narrative that we drove, the everybody's nobodies, right? So I thought in preseason, the boys were so attentive to detail, to getting it right, to driving each other, to going to the unknown and see what's on the other side. I thought for me, the preseason was the most impressive and important one I've ever been in, and yeah, this for me, obviously it's our first one it's our first chance, right? And you don't get a second chance to make that first impression. And the players, the way it went, just the game we played against Philadelphia, that was a moment I was like, all right, we're going to be okay this season. Yeah, I think that's where I'll leave it.
Lutz, Bradley, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
All right, we'll kick it off. Go ahead, Tom.
Roman, just now that the season's over and you had a few days, does the way the season ended take any of the shine off of how the regular season went?
No, obviously not. I think how the season ended, it was really quick, very fast happening. We weren't expecting to go out in the first round. We didn't want to go out in the first round, but what we did in the regular season, with all the injuries we had, like with Edu, with Klauss, with important players, for us, that we managed to win the conference is an amazing achievement for the whole club.
And what did you learn about MLS in this season, along with the fact that it's a really long season?
Yeah, there were no breaks. It's constantly going on. Old friends from that they play in Europe, they said, yeah, it's national team break. Maybe we can play together on the weekends and online, online games. I said, I have no time. They don't know what what an international break is, or they don't take it serious. So, yeah, so I have to work. So no, I had to keep going, and it was very long, but it was fun, especially because of my teammates, and the whole people around me in this club.
Just with the 2 playoff games, what did you learn about your team, goods and bads?
I would say that we tried until the end. We fought until the end. I think we came back 1 goal, and we had opportunities to score 2 goals. So we're definitely in position to go into a penalty shootout or go into game 3. But just sometimes defensive wise, we are too attracted to the ball and not tracking runners.
Roman, I was in London for a wedding last month, and the bride was Swiss. And so I was speaking to some of the attendees, and I said, well, hey, I'm from St. Louis, and we've got a Swiss goalie. Have you ever heard of him? And the reaction was, Bürki, he's a superhero. Thought I'd share that with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, you send that back to Corey.
Hey, Roman. I'm just wondering what you maybe learned about yourself as a leader this year, being the captain of a brand new club on the scene in MLS. What do you think you learned as a leader?
I would say a lot of different personalities in the team, like everyone is a little bit different. So you have to take care sometimes, how you talk to them and how they are, like how they're feeling in certain situations. And I think I learned a lot about myself, also because I used to be like this as well. Sometimes when it's not going your way, you're very, very sensitive, and one wrong word can make you very angry. And that was the same with the team, like we had to take care of each other. But that's the thing, during the whole season was so long. I think now, when you go into the next season with a lot of the same players, we already know each other. We know their sensitive spots, and all that stuff. So how to just handle certain situations with them. So I would say it's more about getting to know the players and what they need in difficult situations, and when they want to be alone, a little bit more for themselves. Yeah.
Bradley mentioned it. He said during preseason, you all realized that, wow, it seems like we've been playing together forever, but we really just started. So can you talk about how the camaraderie evolved and how you all really learned about each other? But you've seen that you started off on such an incredible note, and that's due to the fact that you were constantly playing together from the start.
Yeah, the preseason is obviously not only important when it comes on the field, also off the field, like getting to know, you said it, like getting to know each other. And we're just, I would say 90% of the team is on the same interests, and that's amazing. So you can share your hobby together, besides soccer, and some people play online games together. Some people go and play golf in their free time, and that's amazing, like the connection, and just to build that like a family, like you build that tension or that relationship with each and everyone. And now, of course, we are also sad that we're gonna lose players, but that's how it is. There are new players coming in, but now I think for the new players, it is like you come in and you have to show that you want to be in, because this is already built now. You know, we have this relationship with each other, and we are open for everyone. But he has to show that he wants to be in the squad and has to work for the squad and gives everything for them.
Go to Luis.
Bradley Carnell mentioned that for him to be a good manager of this team, he had to be vulnerable and open for you guys. How refreshing was it for a manager to take off that shield, not only in certain moments, but all the time in the locker room?
Yeah, I think Bradley was very important that he's like talking about basically everything. You know, he's talking with us about everything and not only about soccer, only about things that happened in his life. And so he opens up, and it's more like that he asks us to do that as well. You know, if we have something, we can talk. We have these 4 walls in our facility over there, and what we discuss in there stays in there. You know, nobody else will know, and it's a safe spot for us, and it just feels good, yeah, to have a coach like this.
First, we'll go to John Lupo, and then we'll conclude with Tom Timmerman. John, are you there? All right, Tom, what are you?
Roman, when you came here, you had options in Europe, places you could have gone. Now, having played a season here in America, how do you look at it? How, you know, the decision you made and how happy it's been, you know, to come here and take this kind of I don't say it's a risky move, but a move off the beaten path.
No, it was a little bit risk involved, definitely, because nobody knew how this is going to turn out. You know, like if it's going to be successful, if there are going to be problems somehow, somewhere. You know, you never know. But I feel I make the right decision. I found what I was hoping to find here. You know, like joy and fun, and a really good team, good teammates, and that's was for me one of the most important things, to find the fun again in soccer, you know, because after the 2 years in Dortmund, the last 2 years was not easy for me, and I really thought about like what should I do? What should I do? Training every day like for 2 years and not one game played, you know, it's like I could not, I can't do that anymore. And then I was like, I want something completely different, and this was the perfect opportunity with Lutz, and also a fresh start, you know. So that it turned out like this is amazing, and I feel really good here.
We'll wrap up with Santi.
Roman, one of the many successful stories from this year was the development of players that were in second division or third division last year, debuted in MLS and had success. As a captain and leader of the team, what was your role in the development of these players?
Basically just offer them whenever they need a word or have a question, that I'm there for them. You know, I don't really force somebody to listen to me. You know, I really want them to, if they have a question, they can always come up to me. And AZ came up to me a lot, you know, had questions, what's going on, and how he should react. You know, if he started playing, then he was on the bench again, and then he's played again. It's just like questions like this, you know. I know how it is. I play with a lot of players. They had maybe the same situation. They played, they didn't play, and then they played again, and just how to react. You know, like sometimes you're of course angry with the coach if you are not playing, and because you want to play, and then it comes down to how is your performance in training? How are you in the locker room, in the meetings? You know, are you active, involved, or are you just the guy who sits there now? Oh yeah, now he's angry because he's not playing, and just basically be there for for the teammates. You know, that's everything I can do, and that's basically the most important point, probably, between the connection between the coach and the team. Yeah.
Roman, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Tom, kick us off with some Parker.
Tim, does the way the season ended take any of the shine off the rest of the season?
Maybe a little bit. You know, I think we definitely had a lot of high hopes going into the playoffs, and I don't think we were able to really give ourselves a taste of kind of what a little bit of playoff success would look like. But when you look back on the entire year, I mean, there's so much to be thankful for at some point, and then also be proud of.
Did this team kind of just lose energy as the season went on? A lot of guys hadn't been through a season. The guys who came from here hadn't been through a season like this.
Yeah, I don't know if we lost energy, but there's definitely times. I mean, I've said it before, and I'll continue to repeat myself when I say this, but there are times to get hot in MLS, and you find that a lot of teams that kind of catch fire towards the end of the summer tend to make good playoff runs. So I think we obviously didn't get hot at the end of the summer. You know, we were able to put together a couple of decent results, but never really kind of climbed that ladder. So I think when you see the experienced teams of MLS, you know, the Seattles, even Kansas City, who has a lot of guys that have been in the league for a long time, they know when to get hot.
I know it's not simple when you talk about soccer strategy, but when you hear a lot about possession and you guys were more unsuccessful when you had the ball more, I guess, can you just talk about what happened or what happens with that and what can be made? How can you improve on that?
Yeah, I think we can solve that problem pretty quickly. It's just when teams are able to give us the ball, I think we become a little bit more tentative. So then we lose our aggressive side in terms of wanting to win those second balls, wanting to force the ball up the field in kind of a vertical way that we want to. And when that happens, we don't create as much chances, and then we get very spread out when we're on the ball. And then when we lose it, we obviously concede some opportunities. So I think for us, it's important for us to understand that we want to be able to be good on the ball in moments, but we don't want to be a heavy possession team.
Go to Justin and Matt.
It's Tim. I wanted to ask you a little bit about what you've learned about leadership this year in your role as like the MLS veteran on this team. What do you hope that some of the younger players have kind of learned from you over the course of the season?
Yeah, I hope there was a lot of guys that didn't really understand how the league works. So I'm glad that they got a little bit of a taste of it, and you're able to see a lot of guys that maybe throughout the year grew a lot. A lot of guys in the beginning of the year that didn't get minutes, that towards the end of the year we were relying on for starting minutes or big time roles. So I'm happy with a lot of the growth that we are able to see with a lot of the young guys. And I hope I played a part in that. I think there is some babysitting, I'd like to call it, with some of those young guys. But no, I think you have to be patient with them, because the younger guys, they always want to play. They always want to get better and learn while playing rather than learn while watching. So I'm glad that a lot of them got to experience some good games this year and some good opportunities, and we can build on that.
Tim, Bradley mentioned earlier about your growth as being kind of an inspiration at this stage in your career, coming here and being able to kind of resurgence your career, so to speak, Defender of the Year nominee. How do you look to maintain and improve upon this level that you've attained with City so far this year?
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely thankful first for the opportunity to come here and to kind of feel that resurgence. I think I've been kind of the one that's been echoing that first. I'm glad Brad jumped on it as well, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard for me to replicate exactly what this year was. But I definitely think that being in this system, I think, brings out the best attributes of what I can provide as a player. And I'm hoping that obviously next year there's going to be growth within myself, but also within the team, so that we're able to succeed together.
Go to the back to Corey Miller.
Hey, Tim. Winning obviously goes a long way to this, but just as a player, what does it feel like to have this city jump on board with you guys so passionately and so quickly and just sustain it through the whole year?
Yeah, it's been incredible. It's like something I haven't been across before in my career. Even yesterday, I went to the grocery store and someone kind of just congratulated me on the year and thanked me for it. It's hard to take that right now, but at the same time, you're thankful for all the support that everyone's been able to give us. And, I think when you look at all the home games that we had, every game a sellout, it makes it an exciting place to play, not only for us, but for other teams too. And I think it's going to be an intimidating environment again next year. And we're looking forward to kind of improving that home record.
I know there's still a certain level of sting from how the season ended, but as the leader on the pitch, off the pitch, what is the message in the locker room? And then now a couple of days removed of how do you mentally move yourself forward to continue to push? Because it's going to look different next year, but still, this is a group of guys who want to stay resilient, especially when they're in this league for the first time and they're still young and growing.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely there's going to be changes. That's for sure. I think, you're not going to see all 25 guys the same way next year. So, but you have to be able to kind of encourage guys to have good off seasons, to actually take that time to go and relax for a little bit, because next year the season's even longer. We come back earlier in January for Champions League. And guys don't really, I think this is a little bit of a taste of it for the guys that didn't really play in MLS before, for them to see how long the year can be. So my advice is, really actually take some time off to kind of recoup. And then when we come back in January, now at least we have ground to stand on. We actually know each other right now. So it's a better step than where we were last year in terms of personalities in the locker room and getting to know one another. So I think that's already a good step in the right direction. And then as a team, building upon the framework that we had this year, I think we know what makes us successful and what doesn't. And I think those are things that we're going to have to focus on.
We'll wrap up with Brendan.
Tim, you talk about some of the inexperienced guys. As somebody like yourself that has experience, has been around, do you feel like it was maybe a challenge for some of those younger, inexperienced guys in some of the walk-up and preparation to the 2 playoff games?
I don't think necessarily just to those games. I do think that those games require a different kind of, I don't want to say attitude or bite to them, but I mean, there's definitely, when it comes into playoffs, there's definitely a lot more on the line for every team. I mean, I watched that Nashville Orlando game last night and I was like, that game really looked like a playoff game to me. And I think that we had a lot of that in versus Kansas City, but at the same time, I think we can be even feistier and a little bit more annoying in a way. I think that's what we thrived off in the beginning of the year, was almost being that annoying team to play against. And if that got away from us a little bit towards the end, it's possible, but I think that we have to kind of take pride in being that pesky, annoying team.
Tim, thank you for joining.
Awesome. No problem. Thank you guys.
Thanks. Go ahead, Tom.
Klauss, looking back over this season, did you feel like you found a home here in St. Louis?
Yeah, definitely. I was talking yesterday to Bradley and Lutz as well. Normally, in this moment of the season, I was going to think where I'm going to play next year. So, and now, yeah, I feel home.
Does the way the season ended, does that change how you look at the rest of the season, the 2 playoff games versus the rest?
No, of course, we didn't expect that season was going to end on this way, but I think before the season, if we could sign a contract that we were going to finish the regular season, the first position, and lose in the first playoff games, I think most of the people would sign it. So, yeah, of course, we're disappointed with the playoff games, but overall, the season was great for us.
Yeah, obviously amazing regular season, first place in the West. I wanted to ask about those playoff games. When you think back to them, for lack of a better question, like what happened? How can you describe why you guys weren't able to score as much as maybe you did in the regular season?
First of all, we have to say congratulations for Kansas, because I think they played 2 great games. Second, I think since the last two games in the regular season, we were not playing the way we should or we wanted. So I think our mindset wasn't in the right place, and also the team wasn't performing in the right way. So I think this was our problem, but we learn and we move on.
Next, we'll go to John Lupo.
João, do you feel like with the way the team played during the regular season, obviously playoff matches are different than regular season matches, but was there one thing that you noticed that was just different playing the games against Kansas? Did it feel the same? Just what was your take on the way things were during the regular season as to how it felt during the playoffs?
No, I don't think it's different. It's just the way that we do the things here in America. It's kind of different. We have the regular season and the playoffs, so we have to get used to it. But yeah, I don't think it's different, or just think that our team wasn't performing and doing well in the most important part of the season. So I think with regular, as you guys know, regular season was great. Maybe we won the regular season too soon or too late, and yeah, I don't know.
Go back to Corey.
Hey, Klauss. Just as a player experiencing this year, what was it like to see just how quickly this city attached to this team and how passionately they became for you guys?
Yeah, we just have to say thank you for the people here in St. Louis. Was a big challenge for us, big challenge for the city. First year of the team, and they showed every weekend that we have the best fans in the league. So we are grateful for that. And of course, this was a big difference for us during of the season. I'm sure we won many games here because of them. And yeah, I'm excited to next year.
Hey, Klauss. So Bradley said earlier today that in preseason, you were talking about how, wow, we feel like we've been playing together for so long. Now you've played together for a whole season. Can you talk about how those relationships have evolved and how you've been able to come together, and maybe that attributed to some of the success that you saw throughout the season?
Yeah, it's very tough to make a new team. 28 new players, 28 new characters. I don't know with how many people you guys work every single day, but we work with around 40, 45 people. And you have bad days, you have good days, and that's normal in life. But as I say, the chemistry that we had from the day one, for sure, this helped us a lot during of the season. We build relationships, we build confidence in each other. We learn how to live together every single day, how to work together. And yeah, we have an amazing group of people here in the club, not only the players, but the staff, the medical staff, the people in media, the physiotherapists, the people in the kitchen. So it's a big family. And this was a big difference for us to have this light energy every day. Even in bad days, you have to understand and help each other. So yeah, we had an amazing year together, and just so excited to keep working with these people.
We'll go to Santi and wrap up the top.
Hi, Klauss. At a personal level, and considering you missed a good portion of the season, was the league what you expected it to be, and did you accomplish some of the goals you had set up for yourself at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, about the league was great. Was what I was expecting. About myself, I don't share a lot my goals, but my first goal in during of the season always is that I stay healthy during of the whole season. So I was not able to achieve that. It was different situation for me, but I just happy that I was able to, after 4 months, to come back and perform well again and help the team and be able to play 90 minutes. I was not sure if I was going to be able to complete 90 minutes again this season, because after 4 months, you need time. You need a lot of things that can help you to be able to perform. Play 90 minutes it's one thing, but perform during of 90 minutes is completely different. So I'm just grateful and happy that I achieved that. But yeah, there is another goals that I didn't achieve, and hope I can do next year.
Klauss, will you be headed home over the break?
Yes.
What food are you looking forward to most?
Rice, beans, and churrasco, Brazilian barbecue, for sure.
Klauss, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a great off season. See you next year, right? Gaspi, see you today.
Yep. Okay. Go ahead, Tom.
And over the course of the year, what did you learn about Major League Soccer and like the length of the season and how you have to approach it? Because it's different from what you've been through before.
In the middle of the season, I didn't know anything about it. I heard people were talking about that in the MLS there's longer vacation. So I was very confused about the long season. But I think it's not even the length of the season. I think there should be a break like in the middle of it in the summertime, because yeah, it was just getting so long. So I think not only physically but mentally, yeah, you had to deal with it. But honestly, now it helps me a lot that I know how the season was, and that I definitely will, yeah, maybe take care even better of myself next year. Yeah, I don't know what or how that will look like, but yeah, I think it will help that we know now how it's going to be.
Just the way this season's gone, as you look back on your decision to come to America, how do you feel about it?
I feel great about it. I feel great about it. I mean, as I said so many times, I love the States. I really enjoy living here. My wife does as well, so that's a huge part. And then there's also the thing, I don't know how it is in other clubs, but here in St. Louis, it's incredible. The team spirit we have, like the love I have, not only for the players, but for the staff members. I don't know. I've never had something like that before. Just now I got invited to a wedding of one of our staff members. I think that says a lot. So we have just great people here in the club, and I just love being here. I enjoy it a lot, and yeah, obviously the season still the playoffs haven't been great, but still it has been a remarkable season with a lot of history, with a lot of records we broke. So we shouldn't forget about that. So I think for an expansion team, especially an expansion team where everybody thought we are gonna be a disaster in that season, I think it was a great season.
Yeah, first in the West and in your first year, definitely an accomplishment of high level. The playoffs obviously didn't go the way you guys wanted to. Looking at those playoff games now, strategically, what happened? What do you wish could have happened for you guys to have won those games?
Yeah, honestly, we just talked about it with some guys. I think the break after the Vancouver game was very tough. We were a couple of days off, which was good, but the next game was 21 days later, and I think that wasn't a good break. I think that's a break you want to have like in the middle of the season, somewhere in the summertime, you know. But in that case, that was like I don't know. It was weird, you know, in the end of the season where you have to ramp it up again to the playoffs, and then we are 21 days off. I mean, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. So I think but these are things we can't control. You know, it's up to the league to schedule those things and to watch out for us. You know, because in the end of the day, we are the ones playing, and we have to perform, and we have to be mentally and physically there. So I think that wasn't easy. But in the end of the day, that's still not an excuse. I think the first game here got away from us. The first game against Kansas wasn't good. The performances before that haven't been great. And I think in Kansas, we showed character. And I think there was a possibility to score the second goal and to go to the penalty shootout or win that game, whatever. So I think it was very unfortunate. Yeah, but in the end of the day, it is what it is, and we take it that way. And yeah, we are already talking through all the things we could have done better in that season and the things we want to do different in the next season.
Thank you.
Yes.
You talk about the length of the season. Do you feel like it took a toll on you? Do you feel like it took a toll on your performance at all? And do you think any of that maybe links back to your injury and that recovery process as well?
Yeah, honestly, it was such a long season, and even if I was injured, and I really never enjoy it. For me, it's always, yeah, doing the rehab and everything, and that I can't train, that I can't play, is always frustrating for me. But in the end of the day, I think I had a very quick recovery. It was 3.5 weeks, so it wasn't too bad. And yeah, to be honest, after the injury, it was okay. I think I came back pretty good. It took me a while for sure, but I think it was even harder for me after the Vancouver game to get back again. I mean, in Vancouver, we didn't have a good game, and I think for myself, I haven't played bad in the last couple of games, but I haven't played great like in the games before. And yeah, I felt like mentally also a little bit, I was mentally a little bit struggling because it was so long, and I tried to, like, I don't know, ramp it up again and over again. And I really wanted to go to the next round and gave everything. But I don't know, I felt mentally and physically a little bit tired, to be very honest. But yeah, that's what I said. So hopefully next year I have to adjust a couple of things, and schedule will be maybe the same, but in the end of the day, it's up to the league. So in the end of the day, I got to take it how it comes, and got to prepare myself as good as possible.
Let's go to Matt.
Edu, of all the starters, I think it might be safe to say you've played the most variety of positions, asked to be the 6, the 8, the 10. As the season's progressed, how do you feel you performed in each one of those roles? And what were some specific highlights you have maybe in each one of those?
Yeah, I would say, to be honest, I prefer the 6 the most, to play with 2 6s and to be in a 6. I think the 8 in some things, we talked about it with the coach. There were also mistakes in my, or misunderstandings on my end where I interpreted the position a little bit differently, where I was very wide, because I didn't receive as many balls in the center of the field. I try to find the pockets, but in the style we play, it's not as easy. And I think in the 10, there were definitely some games where I felt that I couldn't get as much into the game because I had to wait for many balls. And on the 6, I can create more. And when teams were making it good, yeah, didn't allow to get me in those spots and to get the balls in there, then I was kind of a little bit wasted, so I think in the end of the day, the coach wanted to give me a lot of freedom in these positions, and I think that's what he did. So I appreciate that he gave me that freedom, that I don't have to be very stubborn in this one position, but that I can float around everywhere, kind of. Yeah, but I think in many things I can do better next year to interpret those positions even better, and then hopefully the team can also get me in better positions as well. Yeah, but I would say in the end of the day, with 2 6s, I think it worked out very often pretty well. But also as a eight, especially in the end of the season, there were also some good performances, I would say.
Santi.
Edu, so you guys played Kansas City twice in the playoffs, another 3 times during the season. For the fans, this has become a great rivalry. For the players, for you, does this look like a rivalry, like one of those derby matches?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, going to Kansas City and it feels like you're playing almost in your own stadium. That says already everything. So, and honestly, I think Kansas can't say the same thing. They came here and they knew that's our stadium, and it was packed with our fans. And going to Kansas, there was almost also our stadium because it was also packed with our fans. So I think these games have been great and enjoyable, and yeah, we are definitely looking forward to the matches in the next season against them.
We're gonna wrap up with Corey and Tamar.
Just being the first team ever for this club in an inaugural season, it's going to be talked about for a long time. Just curious how you wish this first team is going to be remembered.
Yeah, honestly, it's a pleasure and it's an honor to play for not only for the club but for the whole city. Because as I said, even before the season even began, the people, how they talked to me, how they supported me, and everybody said and told me over and over again how excited they are. I think it means a lot how the fans are treating us. And I don't know, as I said it so many times, I think you guys can't hear it anymore, but I've never experienced something like that before. You know, this love the fans are giving us is just incredible. And yeah, I don't know, we want to be remembered as guys who always gave everything for the club, for the fans, for the city. And I think that's what we did in the most of the season, and that's what got us in the first of the Western Conference. And I think for everybody, it was a remarkable season, personally, but also collectively as a team and as a club. And yeah, I think that for me that there was definitely one of the greatest seasons I've ever had.
There were no expectations coming into this season. This is the foundation that you set because no one knew what this team would be. There were a lot of doubters. What you see in terms of the role that you were able to step in, the role that Klauss and Bürki, the way that you guys came together, can you talk about how you've seen and reflected on the fact that you've all been able to set this incredible foundation that wasn't there before you all arrived?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. In the beginning of the season, I mean, now everybody's like, oh, they played a great season, everything is amazing and great. But remember 11 months ago where everybody was doubting and said like, yeah, they made some bad moves, some bad transfers, you know. For Roman, we talked about it. They said he was the biggest disappointment. So yeah, and then the season worked out like that, you know, but nobody's going to talk about that and just say like what a great season he has played. And yeah, same goes for Klauss. I think like Klauss, he was injured for such a long time. I felt so bad for him, but I mean, he still scored 10 goals, you know, and I think if he would have been healthy the whole season, the season would have been even more different for him, but also for the team. And yeah, I don't know. I think there are many things to it why we were that good. I mean, for myself, as I always say, I give all the credit to Jesus. That's what I'm just thankful for. Yeah, and I think all my success comes from him. Talking for Klauss, I think I have to point him out specifically. He has been such a great teammate. It's just been incredible, you know, the love we had for each other, and like he was supporting me every single time, and it wasn't like competing with each other. In the beginning of the season, it felt like that, but we found a way like to talk things through and everything, and doesn't matter what it is, like who's going to take the penalties or stuff like that. And I think talking for him, he's a great guy, and I think we have a lot of other great guys on the team. And honestly, after the game when we lost in Kansas, I was like even emotional about it, because I've never had such a love for my teammates and for the staff members and even for the fans. So I think that says a lot, and it's amazing here.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Tom, kick us off.
We're a long way from home. You came in a little bit later than everybody else. How's the season been for you with everything that's gone on for you?
To be quite honest, firstly, when I came here, it was a very difficult move for me because of a lot of things, time difference, new environment, different culture. I think but then when time went by, I got into the zone. I was able to I was able to adapt. Yeah, but I think it was difficult at first for me, but with all the technical team, people around the team, they made things more easy for me to adapt. So I think it's been a great journey, and I really appreciate everything that happened so far till now. So it's been a great journey, but it wasn't easy.
Just how do you look at this season, both your play, which kind of in and out depending on your health, and the team and what this team was able to do?
Can you repeat that again?
I don't know. I can't. How do you look at the season, both for you personally, because you get slow starts and in and out of time, but then also for the team and what it was able to accomplish?
Yeah, I think no one thought that we were gonna achieve what we've achieved so far. So I think credits to everyone involved in the team, because no one, as I said, no one thought we were gonna achieve whatever we've achieved so far. But I think credit to everyone within the team. It has been. It was not like an easy season for us, especially as a new team here. We had a lot of negative comments, but I think we managed to show that we deserve to play here. We deserve to be here. I think we had a great season. We had we have great players within the team, great technical team. So yeah, I think it was not easy, but we managed to prove ourselves as a team.
Next, we go to Sandio.
Jobs, just you speak of a difficult season, but with that, you managed to turn around your misfortunes, and your massive impact obviously had you called up back to the national team. Unlike the rest of the players in the Bafana squad, your season is over. Africa Cup of Nations is around the corner. Do you think you've done enough, to earn a spot, and just your hopes for that? Thank you. Oh, and just the Soweto Derby at the weekend, are you watching, and who do you want to win? Thank you.
Yeah, I think I've to be quite honest, I think I've done what I can on my side, leave the rest to God. And yeah, I think, man, we have so many great players back home. So obviously I would be frustrated if they didn't call me for the AFCON, but I know that we have so many quality players that deserve to be in the national team. So I think on my side, I've done very good for myself. For someone that just got here, for someone that is new in the league, I think I've done well for myself, and I believe I deserve to play in the national team. But at the end of the day, there are certain things you can't control. So it's really up to the coach. But yeah, I think on my side, I've done whatever I can to claim my spot in the national team. And regarding the derby, hopefully I'll be able to go watch this weekend, because I'm going back home this afternoon. So hopefully I'll be able to watch the derby.
Justin.
Yeah, just kind of speaking on that flight home, it's been a journey for you this year with those long flights back and forth with the national team. Have you learned anything about yourself on how to, deal with that travel and how to take care of your body?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say I've learned yeah, I've sorry, fuck. I wouldn't say I've learned anything, but I think I've realized that like I'm very patient. I think like it's part of what we do. It's part of what we love. So I expected like these trips going back home and coming this side. So I think yeah, I think I've realized that I'm a very patient person, and I'm very yeah, I'm very patient, and yeah, I think it comes with what we do here. So
Next we'll go to John Lupo.
Can you just talk about the support that the team has received, not only from the fans, but from the city for having such an amazing season and finishing first in the West in the regular season for an expansion team? Can you just talk about how that cultivated the excitement for this team, not only for this season, but going forward?
I think, yeah, to be honest, we wouldn't have gotten wherever we are now without the fans, without the support around the team. Yeah, I think they've played a massive role in terms of us achieving whatever we've achieved this season. Yeah, I think the team has built like a solid foundation for us players to come here and feel free, be free, do our thing, do whatever we do best. So I think yeah, the support has been massive. Has been great for us as players. Even sometimes in some games where we lose, like you can see the fans are still like behind our back. So yeah, I think it's something that is great. That is great for the team and for us as players.
Time for two more.
Did you ever on those flights back to South Africa say, if I was still playing for Kaiser Chiefs, I wouldn't be doing this right now? Can you ever, when you're flying back to South Africa, say, gosh, if I'd stayed in South Africa, I wouldn't have to be doing this right now?
I don't understand.
Oh, it's okay. How long of a season was this for you, especially with the trips you've had to make? Is this compared to a South African season?
I think, yeah, South Africa is like a very small country in terms of traveling from each state to another state. It's like maximum flight you could take to one state to another. It's like 1 hour, 45 minutes. So I think, yeah, it was something new for me to like travel from one state to another. It's like you're traveling to a different country, but it's something that I enjoyed, being around the team, being around the guys. Yeah, and then creating new relationships. I think for me, it was more of like an opportunity. I looked at it as like an opportunity to grow as a person, but not only as a footballer, but to grow as a human being.
Did you learn a lot just about how to handle a season like this to be better next season?
Yeah, I think in terms of me speaking on my behalf, me personally, in terms of like managing my diet, because it's something that I've been struggling with when I came here. A lot of like differences in terms of like food, and so I think it's something that I really need to look into now the following season.
Cool. Go ahead, Tom.
Hey, Niko. Oh,
Hey, Tom. How are you?
fine, thank you.
Lovely.
So with the way the season ended, does that take any of the shine off of what you guys did in the regular season?
I wouldn't say that. I would just say that it was tough. I mean, it was tough to swallow, of course, but it's something where this is our first season in terms of playoff experience. Not everyone has a lot, including myself. So, it's a whole different part of the season. It's almost as if the season starts back again. So, sometimes it's hard to handle these moments and also perform. But I wouldn't say it didn't shine as like our season did. I think our season was very unexpected from the outside. I mean, we know what we do from the inside. So definitely prepared well for it. But towards the end of the season, yeah, it's definitely difficult to keep it up, and especially we had 2-3 weeks of no games leading up to Vancouver, I believe it was. So, your rhythm gets a little broken, and then it's hard to get back into a pace, especially against a KC team that was rising towards the end of the season. But it is what it is, and I'm still very proud of what we did. The whole group, it was a lovely year, and definitely ready for the next.
What did this season do for you as a person and as a player?
As a person, it was definitely a confidence booster. It definitely brought lovely memories to me, especially outside the pitch when we got to get together with the guys and do other things except for soccer. And I feel like growing as a man, as a young man, having these people around you is definitely important, and knowing that you can trust them and rely on them for many things. And it's definitely a place where I create a lot of friendships and more to come. So very happy on that side. And professionally, it was definitely a stock jump, I would say. I came here from Orlando, not having played basically at all. I came from Montpellier, having struggled to perform and get minutes, coming to a place where I got plenty of minutes and managed to make a difference on the field and score some goals. It's definitely a huge jump for me, and I'm looking forward to the future.
Go to Corey in the back.
Niko, you kind of probably talked about it right there, but how much did this town and this team really feel like home by the end of this whole first year?
Oh, it definitely feels like home. Matter of fact, I'm looking to buy a place, so that's definitely a sign. Yeah. It was, I got here, what was it, the 6th of January, a few days early before preseason. And, I was here new. I didn't really know much. I'd been here when I was 10, but that was a long time ago. And the way it's really ended, at least the season, was lovely. I mean, so many things I can remember, so many memories created, lovely community, the fans, the people around us. I more than enjoyed it. And I'm really looking forward to preseason already. I mean, I know I need some break, but I loved it here. This is definitely a place where I would call home.
Tomorrow we'll go to Luis.
Thank you. There were no expectations coming into the year. There were doubters, all of that. To talk about your role that you were able to contribute, to talk about your teammates' roles that they stepped into, and to see the evolution of this team. Can you talk about that response and some of the reflection now that things are over and looking forward of what everyone did in their specific role and the evolution of that?
Yeah, everyone had responsibilities, their own responsibilities to begin with. It's something where sometimes it's hard to stay disciplined all year with them, but it's part of growth, and it's part of being good at what you do, is definitely being disciplined with your responsibilities. And me personally, I did decently well, I would say, but I hold high standards for myself. So obviously I wanted to do a lot better than I did. But as a whole, the evolution from January 11th to what was it, November 3rd, it was, yeah, was huge. I mean, obviously the end of the season was a little more difficult, but that's part of the growth period. And seeing where all the guys started with in terms of being men and athletes, and where they ended up at the end of the season is beautiful. It's hard to explain with words, but definitely if you go over the whole season and you speak to them, they will definitely show a new level of maturity and humbleness, and it's humility, pardon. And it's beautiful to see. It's something where it doesn't happen everywhere, and it's the first time that I get to see it. So a big heart on that.
You referenced this in the beginning of your first answer, but every other league in the world takes a international break and they just pause it and whatever, but the MLS has this unique playoff system. Do you think, is there a way to improve that the MLS in terms of scheduling can avoid having this international break fall off in that important period of the league and the teams?
Yes, that's a good question. I don't know if I'm the person to answer that, at least not right away, but yeah, I mean, you know, at first when you get that break after having played 8, 9 months, you think of it as good, you know, it's great. We get a rest, we get a, you know, rally up for the next game and refresh our minds. But it does break your rhythm at the same time. You know, it doesn't seem natural, especially coming from Europe. You know, you don't really have these 2, 3 week breaks in the middle, or at least beginning, middle, or end of the season, especially right before a really important part of the season. You know, let's say you can compare it with Champions League. In Europe, you know, it's not something where Champions League, they have 3 weeks off before and they get there, they have a week to prepare, and then, you know, it's game time. It's so yeah, I mean, it would be lovely to have a more detailed and accurate schedule to keep us on track a little more physically. You know, also it's also part of our job to do it ourselves. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely room for improvement there. I'd also say that given that, you know, it's something where players such as myself, we need to maybe keep ourselves in mentally still in the game, even though we are off physically. But as I say, these are all axes of improvement, and hopefully we'll get there with time.
Go to Santi, Matt, and then wrap up with Tom.
Niko, when you were drafted on the expansion draft, not knowing much about the city, not knowing much about who your teammates were going to be, what were your expectations?
I was expecting to have fun again. You know, I definitely when I got off the phone with Lutz and Bradley back in November, it was an exciting phone call. Definitely wasn't the same one I got from Orlando when I got theirs back in July of last year. You know, there was also me personally coming off of a tough year, so anything positive coming to my ears was a big boost. So, you know, I was expecting to have fun again, and I was definitely blown away with that. I wasn't expecting to have this much fun this year, but I definitely did. And I hope everyone watching did as well. You know, at the end of the day, our jobs are to make people happy and people smile and want to continue watching what we do. So yeah, I was expecting fun, and I got fun. Yeah.
Kind of picking up on that note, Niko, how do you feel you performed, and how do you like this system? It seems like you're one of the best two-way players as far as knowing when to and being successful in your pressing, but also now a double-digit goal scorer. So how do you feel you thrived on both ways in the system?
Yes, it's a system where it requires a lot of effort, of course, consistent effort throughout the game and throughout the whole season, because loads do add up eventually. And I was physically ready for it. I was mentally especially ready for it, because that's where it really gets to you, is when in the mind. Yeah, it's not easy, but it's a game where, you know, you force mistakes and you capitalize on those mistakes, and you need to capitalize on those mistakes. And it's something where I believe I do well. I mean, it's not, I don't like it to say it's for me to say, but I tend to, when I get the chance, finish, and something where we worked on the whole preseason and the whole year to do, and it paid out in the end. You know, it paid off in the end. So it's a good system. It's definitely tough to maintain the whole year, but it's a system that is effective. It brought us to #1 in the West, the regular season, and if playoffs didn't exist, we would be lifting a trophy now.
Go ahead, Tom.
Niko, if you were talking to a teammate, former European teammate, who was thinking about coming to the MLS, how would you describe the season that you've just experienced, that we've all just experienced? What's it like? The differences in Europe, you've touched on it, but what would your words of wisdom be to a teammate who would be coming to the MLS?
I would say that it's definitely exciting. I mean, we have a special environment here. It's not like that in most stadiums. So I would definitely tell them that the overall football experience is good. The level of play isn't as high, I'd say, as the top divisions in Europe. Slowly getting there, but it's normal. You know, it's a rather new league compared to those. So patience is definitely necessary. But it's a lot of fun, especially when you play. You know, you force mistakes, you hear the crowd, you score. It's a professional, it's a fun environment to progress and to build confidence. And I feel like that's something where in Europe, at least from where I was harder to get. You know, obviously there are steps in life, and this was one of them. But yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, it's a little difficult to compare the two now, but um, it's exciting. I mean, I know in Europe there's promotion, relegation, which, you know, wins and losses have a lot more positive and negative gravity to them. So there's a little bit of competition there with the MLS, but you know, winning games and getting to playoffs and being able to win a trophy, even if you can't get relegated, is still a big push for people. So definitely for me as a player, and it's an environment where you can thrive with that, you can go with that, and you can really pursue a trophy, and everyone has a chance. You know, every team has a chance. You know, I know some teams struggle a little more than others, but you know, in Europe, often some leagues have 3-4 teams that dominate every single year. You know, here you have some that come out of nowhere one year, and an inaugural team that comes and wins first place in the West in the regular season is, you know, I don't see that happening in Europe very often, at least. So, or it doesn't happen often here, but I've never seen it happen in Europe. So, I mean, except for maybe Leicester City, that's a good example. But you know, it's exciting when you know that sometimes the underdog can win. It's definitely gives some more adrenaline to the game.
Good luck with buying a house.
Thank you.
Niko, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Sam, what's this season been like with you as someone who started here, who left and came back and had the success you had? What's this been like?
Yeah, it's been good. You know, it's been a roller coaster at times, but yeah, I mean, great experience. Wouldn't trade it for the world, you know. So yeah, definitely have enjoyed my season, enjoyed my time with my teammates.
When you look at your season, I mean, how did you progress during the season to get to the point where, you know, you scored a lot of goals this year and became a starter on a top team in the Western Conference?
I don't know. I attest that to my faith and to my hard work. So I mean, you know, playing with these guys has been great. You know, when you have a good group of guys around you, it makes it easier to thrive, you know, and when you come into work every day and you're enjoying your work, you know, and it doesn't feel like work, you know, it definitely helps you to work at your highest potential. So
You just had the level of, I don't know, I'll leave you to describe it, just how you guys feel after having the regular season you did and then having the playoffs end so quickly.
Yeah, you know, that's the MLS, and that's playoffs, especially in America. You know, you can be the number 1 seed and get out in the first round. But I mean, that's just life, and that's just football. You know, it happens. So you just gotta take what you can from it, learn from it, and, you know, do better next time.
Sam, how do you feel that you thrived in this system itself? Was it one that you felt suited you? And was there any difficulty in going to a different club, a different style for the periods of time that you did?
I'd say San Antonio and St. Louis have a pretty similar style in terms of the way they play. So I definitely believe that yeah, it wasn't the craziest of switches when I came over from there, but yeah, definitely I enjoyed my time. I enjoyed, you know, playing in this system. I definitely think that the tools that I have, you know, work in this system, but I also believe that there are other systems that my tools work in as well. So it's just a matter of being able to adapt to wherever you go. So, but yeah, definitely I would say that, you know, I really enjoyed my time here. I love the city of St. Louis, love my teammates, you know, staff and everyone. I've really come to like it. So.
Sam, can you talk about working with Klauss and with Niko and competing internally to earn a spot in the starting 11?
Great guys, number one. Great guys, great teammates. Yeah, you know, when you have good players around you, it pushes you to be better. You know, I don't want to have guys that don't push me. I don't want to have guys that kind of just like shy away from competition. You know, Klauss and Niko never shied away from competition. And, you know, that's what made all of us do so well this season, as strikers. So definitely, that just shows their mentality, shows their level of professionalism. So yeah, definitely credit to them for helping to push me this season.
Go to Brendan.
Sam, and looking at just the 2 playoff games, can you pinpoint something as to just playoff soccer compared to regular season MLS soccer to where maybe it was a little more difficult to generate offense, at least from your perspective?
Yeah, less mistakes because teams over the season analyze the way you play and they analyze the way you do things. So they have, it's easier for them to scout you and to see your weaknesses, see your strong points. Obviously us coming into the league, we were a new team. Not many teams knew the type of style of play we were going to play. And so we kind of hit every team in their mouth at the beginning, So yeah, but as the season progresses, obviously we're still a talented team, but obviously every single team has their weakness, you could say, or every team has things that they need to work on. So I think every MLS team, once the playoffs comes around, they have 38 games to look at to determine the style that they want to use against you. So yeah, playoffs is faster. And it's not as merciful. So you lose one game and you're done after the first round. So you gotta make sure that you're on your toes 24/7. So
You talk about the brotherhood that you've been able to create in this first season. How has that allowed you to grow as a leader, grow as a unit? Because this is a group that you didn't know before this year. So how do you feel like that has helped you grow in your game and your style?
More so than even my game, I'd say me as a person, it's helped me to grow, to learn to understand different cultures, understand different backgrounds, and just the way people think, because not everyone thinks the same, not everyone acts the same, but to be able to bring that together into one team, and obviously everyone has their flaws and their mistakes, but to bring the good things in, it helps you to become a better person, it helps you to learn that, okay, maybe I'm not right in this, or maybe I'm wrong in this, and so that's the whole human aspect of it. And then obviously on the field, learning from different styles of play, the way different guys were brought up in playing, it helps you to become a better player. So yeah, definitely I would say that just this brotherhood that I've formed with these guys has helped me to become a better man and to become a better player, 100%.
We'll wrap up with Justin.
Yeah, and Sam, just to kind of continue on that front, as you sit here this year, your offseason outlook's a lot different than it was, say, last season, where you proved that you could do it at the USL, but things were still questionable at the MLS level. Now that you've proven that you can do it in MLS, is there some confidence that you're taking into this offseason?
I'm always confident. I knew I could do it in the MLS even when I was playing in the USL. I told everyone I could do it and I did it. So I think, yeah, definitely I would say the confidence that I had at the end of my USL championship year last year is the same amount of confidence that I have now. Because I mean, as a player, I didn't start playing soccer 2 days ago. I started from when I was 3 years old. So, and I always tell guys that, a lot of guys, when they're lacking confidence, it's always important to remember that you started playing when you were a kid. You didn't start playing yesterday, so you always have to remember that talent and that ability that you had when you were cultivating it when you were younger is what you have now. So just because things may not be going your way or anything like that doesn't mean that you're not a good player. It just may mean that your confidence is lacking. So yeah.
Tom, go ahead.
Indy, just when you look at the season, yeah, look at how it ended, but how it went before that. How do you balance those two, of the disappointment of a playoff exit after the 34 games you came before?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to start off by saying, it's been a very, very good season. I think we proved a lot of people wrong. I think we proved a lot of things to ourselves, which we didn't know. So yeah, like you said, it's been a very, very enjoyable season. I met some very, very great guys, friends for life probably. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't think you could have written it better. I mean, obviously, yeah, it would have been great to have a much longer run in playoffs, but that's not how things go sometimes. And
And yeah, you know, like you said, disappointment in the playoffs, definitely for surely it still stings. But yeah, kind of just to kind of regroup and refresh, have a nice little break, and kind of do it all over again next year.
For you in your growth as a player, what do you take away from this season, both on the field and off the field?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first season that I played majority of the games, which has been amazing for me. I feel like I've learned a lot. And then off the field, kind of just learning to be a professional. I've had, you know, there was a lot of experience in that changing room, and just kind of learning from them. And yeah, just things along that line. I taught them to have a little bit more fun, you know, me and Celio. But yeah, I know, like I said, it's been a great year. I've learned a lot of things on and off the field. I can't really think of anything specific right now, but yeah, just really enjoyable. Wish it could ended better, as I'm pretty sure we all wish it could ended better. But yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on one of the storylines of the team this year, Tim Parker, and he's kind of become like a local celebrity. He's at the beer, he's at the t-shirts.
Yeah.
Can you describe what you see as a St. Louis's Tim Parker?
Yeah, I don't want to say too many good things about him. I hang around him too much. I don't want to blow his ego up, you know.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, no, listen, he's definitely one of the leaders on our team on and off the field. His beer is pretty good. He's got some cool shirts with Arch Apparel now, but yeah, you know, it's nice having, we have Roman, but we also have different leaders on the field, and he's definitely one of them. And it's, you know, to kind of look up to him and learn from him. And it's you know, it's pretty fun. And when he says something, you better listen. Yeah.
Indy, you guys had a chance for really much of the year to have that chip on your shoulder, kind of us against the world mentality as underdogs. Nobody gave you a chance. That kind of shifted as you get to the playoffs where you're the top seed. Suddenly the hunters become the hunted. Is there a shift in mindset there? Do you see anything about how other teams started to play you or go up against you as the season went on and into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think teams definitely changed the way they played against us. I think for the very beginning of the season, you know, we were a new team. You think you can play through us, and we obviously had a very good press, and teams ended up realizing they couldn't really play through us. So yeah, I think it was clear to see that teams did change the way they played against us, and it did become more effective. And we had to also change things on our end to try and counteract that. And yeah, still sucks. I'm thinking about the playoff games and kind of how those went. But yeah, I think there's definitely things that we can work on for next year and get better at.
Indy, the first ever team here is obviously going to be talked about for a long time since it's the first. How do you hope your guys are remembered in this specific time and in space and time?
To be honest, I hope we're remembered as being fun and having a good time. And then, I mean, obviously we're going to have certain players remembered. We'll have definitely Roman. Roman's been unreal this year. Tim, Edu, Klauss when he did play, you know, they'll definitely be players who will be remembered, but I hope as a whole, we're remembered as a group who kind of had fun and we had an identity and we stuck to it till the end. Yeah.
Indy, what did you learn about yourself because of this team?
Yeah. I like your jacket.
Thank you. You look good in one.
Thank you. What did I learn about myself? I learned that I can play multiple positions, like a lot of them, which has been fun. You know, I like to say I'm very open-minded, and you know, getting put in different positions and different points of games. You know, it's fun. It keeps you on your toes. It helps you grow, and yeah, that's probably one thing I'd say I learned about myself.
Go to Santi and wrap up with Luis.
Indeed, you may not think of yourself as an experienced player, but you have played in England, you played U17 World Cup, you had 2 years of experience in MLS before coming to this team. And I wanted to ask you, players like Celio, AC, Miggy Perez, first year in the league.
Yeah.
How did you help them with their development, and what was your role in their development and getting them to play MLS?
Yeah, I just, they're young. I mean, they're pretty much my age. We're all the same age. I like to say some maybe a couple years older, a couple years younger. But yeah, if they had any questions to me about whatever tactics or about how they should feel about certain situations, yeah, I mean, I would definitely give my advice, and I'd be brutally honest with them. I wouldn't sugarcoat it, and most of them took it the right way because I think they're all pretty much top professionals. So yeah, kind of being that guy they could come to, I guess, and give them, I mean, hopefully I gave them good advice. Hopefully they took it on board. But then obviously I still wanted to keep it light and keep it kind of friendly because that's kind of how I am as a person. I mean, there are many moments in the season where I take it seriously. So once game day comes, I take it seriously, but for the most part, I try and keep it, light and fun and yeah, just trying to have fun.
Was losing the first playoff game at home more deflating than being eliminated?
No, I don't think it was more deflating than being knocked out because that sucked bad. But it didn't. I don't think it helped us at all in terms of how that whole series went. In terms of momentum, I don't think we carried too much of it into the second game, which hurt us. And then, of course, if you talk about momentum again, conceding in the last 15 seconds of the first half away from home didn't help us at all whatsoever. So I wouldn't say losing at home was more deflating. It was obviously disappointing and frustrating, not only for ourselves, but we had the crowd we had against KC first round at home was amazing, like one of the best of the year. So it was bad, but I think getting knocked out definitely stung a bit more. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Jared, I just got to think with what you've gone through in your career and after last year to this year, no matter what happened in the playoffs, you have to look at this as just an amazing season.
Yeah, it was an amazing season, especially after last year. Last year wasn't ideal. So, yeah, coming in this year and playing so many minutes and, yeah, getting first place in the league. So, for sure happy about it personally. And, yeah, as a team, we did great too. So, very happy.
How the season ended affect how you look at this season?
I mean, for me, it's such a successful season. Yeah, it stinks to lose the last games, but every team in the league and every year I've been in the league, every team this year is going to end with a sour taste in their mouth except one. So unfortunately, that's how the MLS works. So for me, I look at it as a whole, and I think, yeah, such a successful year. First place. I mean, no one wrote us up in the playoffs or anything before the season. So I mean, such a positive note, and yeah, just talking to my family and everyone around the club, it's all positive. So it was a great year.
Hey, Jared, I'm asking a couple of players about Tim Parker, but not just the player, but like kind of this connection he's had with St. Louis. How would you describe the relationship between Tim Parker and the city of St. Louis?
I mean, it's pretty obvious. You just look at the Parker Pilsner, huh? It's all over the place. No, he's super ingrained in the culture already. I mean, he fits the build of the city. He's he plays with so much passion. I think it's easy for the fans to like his style of play. It's aggressive, just in the nature of the way we want to play. So yeah, Tim, I mean, I played with him at Red Bull, and yeah, him here, he just fits perfect. So yeah, I don't know. He always seems to be golfing with every single person. He knows every single person. So yeah, he's done a great job building up the community and just being a part of this club and bigger than the club, the city. So
thank you.
You talk about Tim's ability in this system and how he thrives, but the same can be said for you. You seem like you really thrive in this system, this style of play. What is it about this that just has you on top for an entire season? And what are some of the highlights you've had in this system this year?
Yeah, I mean, playing for Brad, I think he fits the style of play that I want to play. It's aggressive. It's on the front foot. When I played it at Red Bull, I think I got a little taste and I kind of realized what I had to do better and what I had to bring in. And then playing in Austin was a different style. But yeah, playing for Brad for me, it fits the way I play. Yeah, I mean, you could tell. I mean, I've had my best statistical year. I've played the most minutes. It's been it's the style has obviously come into fruition with statistics and everything. And yeah, I mean, I just enjoy playing in it. I enjoy playing aggressively, sparking something in the crowd, sparking something on the field. That's exciting for fans to watch. And yeah, I just embraced it and had a good season with it. And as I said, playing for Brad is yeah, it's like the best for me. So I'm happy.
Tom?
What are you going to do in the off season?
I'm gonna go home for a little bit to New Jersey to see my family for like a week, and then flying to my girlfriend's family in Dallas for Thanksgiving, and just trying to see as much family as possible. And then I have family in England, so we'll be there for Christmas, and just spending time with them and going to see some Prem games, and just enjoying my family, I think, is the main thing. And yeah, maybe sneaking a little vacation with my girlfriend as well.
Justin?
Jerry, you talked a little bit about how difficult last season was for you. Coming here to St. Louis was a bit of a new start. You also impacted the club a lot during its inaugural season. What do you hope is your lasting impact from this first year?
I mean, I think it's just to set a standard for the club, for the city, for, not just now, but for decades to come. A standard that we want to be top of the table. We want to make playoffs every year. We want to be, the LAFCs, the Seattles of the league. Where, a rare season is, where we don't make playoffs or we don't, have a winning record. So I think just setting that precedent. I mean, St. Louis is a soccer city, and it deserves to have a good soccer team. It deserves to have a good sports team here. And I think setting that culture and that foundation for this year is just more than even beyond my playing years. Because, one day I won't be here, but the precedent hopefully that we set this year is something that goes way beyond us, and gives the people of St. Louis what they deserve. And yeah, I mean, those wins this year, the happiness that we brought to the city, that'll hopefully just go for years to come. And it won't always be perfect, but the foundation set is for sure something to be proud of.
Next, go to John Lupo.
Jared, having been with Austin for their first 2 years now, having been here in St. Louis with another expansion team, do you feel like you have a unique perspective to see how a franchise can sort of start out and then grow and build? And you were on that Austin team that almost made MLS Cup last year, and I know you weren't there this year when they didn't have the type of season they had last year, but can you just speak to how you can go about building upon this season, having been with a franchise that was in somewhat of a similar position?
Starting a team from the ground up is difficult. That's something I've learned. It's hard to throw together 11 guys who've never played together on a field and be successful. I think year two, it's interesting because year one was so good, and I think part of that is realizing what it was going to take, and seeing Austin and seeing the steps forward that they made. And then bringing that here and bringing that winning mentality from the get-go. So now I think it's about maintaining it, just taking it one step at a time, and creating a culture and keeping that culture, and sticking to those principles. Because when you slide away from them, maybe Austin this year, maybe that's what happened. I don't know. It wasn't in the picture, but when you slide away from your principles and your standards, I think that's where it gets a little bit dicey. So that's kind of what I've learned in expansion. But you have to have a culture and a vision, and then execute it. So I'm happy that we had a good year, and next year hopefully we can do the same thing.
Got time for two more. We'll go to Jen.
Jared, Coach Carnell talked about it when he was here earlier, that at New York Red Bulls, he was the interim manager. You told me the story as well. As they got a new manager, he stepped back and didn't coach the playoffs as head coach. You also shared a story with me that was also a game that you did not start. You had been starting for Bradley. How did it, result aside, how did it feel to step on the playoff pitch as a starter for Bradley? Kind of you both having a first together.
Yeah, it was special. I wanted to be out there. I gave it my all. I feel like there was no effort left on the field. So, I was proud of that. Obviously, as soon as you get in the game, you want to win, and you're disappointed by the result or the frustrations. But at the end of the day, it definitely felt good. And yeah, for what we have been through, and to be in this spot to host games and to have a chance of winning, I was happy about that. But I'm a competitor at heart, and obviously losing the game was more upsetting for me than anything. But yeah, it was definitely maybe sometimes in your career it goes full circle and you end up in these good positions after being in bad ones. And it definitely felt good. I was happy to play in front of my family and in front of the fans in a big game. But yeah, obviously disappointed a little bit by the result.
Got time for one more. If anyone has one. Tom?
Just started thinking about, next year, there are some ways, if you look statistically, you guys exceeded what the number said you should have done. What's it going to take for this team to repeat, to do this again next year?
Yeah, I think I think after having a good season, you have to find new ways to motivate yourself and have goals that are short term and long term. And Brad's really good about that. He always goes through 6-game blocks, and not getting the season too far ahead of us next year. Just we're going to be in a lot of tournaments. We're going to have a lot of games. We're going to be in CONCACAF. It's going to be a very difficult long season with tons of games, tons of opportunities. We're going to need to have a deep squad. We're going to need to come in fit, hungry. And at the end of the day, we start next season with 0 points. So for us, it's a new season. And I think maybe that's going to be good for us, because then we know we have to do things. We have to start the season fast. We need to, get next season off with a really good start. Maybe 5-0 would be good, maybe 6-0, but just winning those games early, getting that momentum that sets you forward, and winning those home games early on in the season. That's what set us up this year to get first place and stuff. So starting next season on the front foot, and coming in with new motivations, whatever it is, I think all the players need to do that. And the staff as well. And I'm sure there'll be changes to the team. I'm sure we'll get depth, we'll get all sorts of things. So all that stuff's going to help us as well. And we're excited about that.
Jared, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Sweet. Thanks.
Go ahead, Tom.
With all that you went through this season, what do you take away? What does the season mean to you?
Man, this is a great season. It was a roller coaster, but I'm just really happy how we were able to finish out the regular season in first place with this team.
So how do you just going to take the regular season and embrace it and kind of forget about the 2 Kansas City?
It's just definitely, it hurts, the Kansas City games, but we move forward and we learn from them. Like during the season, you can see when we lost our first game versus Minnesota at home, we've grown and we've developed as a team. And we leave the Sporting KC games behind and we move forward.
Where do you go from here? What's the off season and the future? What happens? What do you think?
I think we just gotta look at the bright side. We have another opportunity to play, next season. So we developed well this preseason. We're gonna develop well again next preseason.
Yeah.
AZ, as you've kind of broken onto the scene this year, there have been a lot of feature pieces on your musical past, your family life. You've kind of become this rising star in MLS. So do you feel like the season on the field matched a lot of those discussions in continuing to build yourself personally for the future?
I'm just trying to, honestly, my goal is just to be my best self. If that's that's on the field, off the field, with my music or my play. I think I'm not worried about what other people are thinking of me. I'm just trying to be myself.
Justin?
Is he keeping to that of how you view yourself? Last season, coming into the off season, a lot of question marks of what next year was going to look like for you. Now you come in as an almost regular, almost going into next season. Mentally, what's that like for you heading into the off season?
It's something to look forward to. Every year it gets tougher and tougher. So I know that. And it's not going to be anything new. I know there's going to be a lot of ups next season and downs. And so if I'm mentally prepared and physically as well, I'll be ready for anything that comes my way.
You mentioned the roller coaster aspect of the season. How do you deal with that as a player?
Man, for any player in any sport, to be honest, it's tough when things aren't going your way, or you want more, out of yourself or out of, say, it could be the club or coaches or whatever. But as long as you are, you have your feet on the ground and you stay humble, and you just want the best for not just yourself or anyone, I think you'll see that the roller coaster, it goes like this, but it goes up. And I feel like that's what is the most important thing. Like roller coasters, it can go like this, but as long as it goes up and still inclines, you win.
Santi?
AC, thinking about your journey with the team, you came in and at the beginning weren't getting a lot of minutes. You went and did your work with City 2, and eventually you started to get minutes and good performances and became a regular starter. Was that what you expecting at the beginning of the season? And can you talk about that journey?
Yeah, I mean, do you think you go into a situation where everything's gonna be all sunshine and rainbows? You think everything is gonna go well from the jump? I was pretty impatient. I'm young. Just like any young player, they always want everything right now, right now, right now. But as long as I stayed patient and just kept grinding every single day, you can see the development as a man, but also as a player too. Because like as a player, if I'm just thinking about, oh, I want this right now, I'm not gonna be ready for the opportunity. So I have to be patient.
Brendan?
AZ, was there anything that you learned that maybe you didn't know before that is required in preparation for playoff games now that we know what the result is?
I'm sorry, what is the question?
Is there anything you learned about just the preparation for the playoffs, at what might be required that maybe you didn't know before?
Right. I think it's just the details. It goes down to details of the game. We lost the game with details. I think we put up a good battle, to be honest. But I think just go with that experience, we know that the details are really important. That we have to fine print, and I feel like going to next season, we'll do better with that.
We'll go to John Lupo.
AZ, the fact that this team finished first in the West and is able to bring CONCACAF Champions Cup football to this city and to this franchise, how exciting at least is that? And what do you think you'll be most looking forward to as far as competing in a competition of that magnitude in this region?
Just
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great experience for the club, for the players. To play in CONCACAF Champions League is amazing. For just coming off the season we had and now playing in the CONCACAF Champions League, it's gonna be electric, and it's gonna add more games to our season, and we're looking forward to competing and another trophy.
We got time for one more. So.
Is bless you. You're a young guy, and so from time to time there was talk that European clubs might be interested. How did you react to that, and what does that mean to you?
It's definitely a great feeling. That's the goal of mine, to get back to Europe, play in one of the leagues there. I'm happy if that happened. I'm happy to be here. So it just depends on what's the best, and right now I'm here, so that's the best thing for me. And just to have those clubs be interested in me is a blessing, and that's definitely a goal of mine.
Izzy, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Tom?
Gosh, you've been here longer than most anyone.
Yeah.
Just seeing how this whole season played out, and with the disappointment of the ending, just how the whole thing came.
Yeah.
How can you describe what you've witnessed over the last year?
I mean, it's a wonderful transformation. Sorry. So I remember when I was signed for this club, just you know, the stadium wasn't done, training facility wasn't done. There weren't any players on the roster, and just seeing the work that has gone into making what this is right now, it's unbelievable. A lot of people that have put their blood, sweat, and tears into this to make it possible for the city to have a team. You know, from the ownership to the coaches to the staff and everyone that works for this club to you guys to, you know, the fans and the city. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. And again, as players, when you lose, you're disappointed. But I look back to this season, I wouldn't call it a disappointment. If anything, it was a good season for us. It could have been a great season. But then again, I'm proud of the work that everyone with this club has done, all the way down to the players, you know, the accomplishments that we had. And that just means we have a benchmark now that we have to build on for next year.
Yeah, and when you look at the youth on this team and the guys who have just come here from, you know, from Europe, this is their first year. Do you see the real potential for growth on this team next season?
I mean, it's apparent, right? It's a team that no one ever gave a chance to. It's a team that no one thought was going to be anything. But the funny thing is, we always knew as a group. We always knew there was a special group. We always knew that we had it in us to do something special in this league, and that's what we did this year. We had a belief that we're going to come out and it was going to be a good season, and we did that. You know, credit to everyone. And you look at the pieces that we have. You know, the guys from Europe, the guys that have played this league before, the young guys that are coming up. It's a really special group. It's a really good group, and most importantly, like, you know, you can have a group of guys that are really good players and talented, but I think in this group we had something that maybe most teams don't have, which is, you know, our togetherness. And no one is above anyone. You know, we stuck together in difficult times. We stuck together all the time, and when we fought for each other. And I think, again, I can sit there and proudly say that, you know, this team did something special, and for that, I'm proud of the guys for every fight. And for everything that we did this season.
Justin?
Josh, just a little bit about your personal development, being able to start in that last playoff game, even though things don't go the way you wanted to, but to be a big part of this first team in that way, coming from where you came from. How much has that meant for you this year?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think it was a good achievement. Every player, you know, wants to play, and I think I was in a situation where in the beginning it was difficult. And I had to be mentally strong because as a player, you know, I was brought here for a reason, and I know that I'm good enough to play, but you wait for your opportunities at the right time. And that's what I had to do the whole season. It wasn't easy, it's difficult, but you have to believe in yourself, because I think that over my years of being a professional, it's, you know, like, it sounds cliche when people say, you know, if you don't believe in yourself, no one will. And that's certainly true, because if you don't believe in yourself that you have the ability and you have the capability to compete and to perform at the highest level, then, I mean, again, no one else is going to give you the opportunity. No one is going to believe in you. So yeah, I'm proud of, you know, a little bit of part of my back, you know, proud of myself for sticking with it, for believing in myself, you know, for always betting on myself. But then again, at the end of the day, you are around a team, and I had help, you know, with my teammates and people around me, always encouragement, always pushing me. So fortunate, and I'm definitely glad the way that the season, you know, went for me, because it's, you know, it's also a growth moment for me. It's just a good learning experience. And yeah, one season down, another year of professional experience, and, you know, keep building.
Josh, you started your career in MLS and then went to play USL for a few years. How was it for you coming back to the league this second time?
Yeah, I mean, the second time was special, because the first time when I started, I was young, I was still learning, I was still developing and figuring out a lot about the league and myself as a person, as a player. And I think this time around, I had something that I didn't have when I first played in the league, which was my emotional and physical and everything, you know, my maturity level. And not only did that play to my advantage, but also, you know, use that to serve the team in a way where when you've had experiences, because as human beings, we are a collection of the experiences that we've had in life. And for me, that definitely served me well, of, you know, knowing how to navigate situations and just, you know, enjoying it one day at a time. And that's what I did this year. So yeah, definitely glad that I had all the experience that I had, playing in the league and then going to USL and then, ending up here in MLS again.
And you mentioned coming last year, playing with City 2. As one of the leaders of that team, how rewarding was it for you to see some of your teammates from City 2 having success at the next level?
Yeah, it was. And again, one of the things, last year that I used to tell the guys, help each other out, because when you help each other out on the field, in the locker room, you're helping yourself out. And the goal was always to have a few of the City 2 guys come up. I mean, I knew when I came here that I had a first team contract and all that, but it's a testament to how good of a group we had again last year. And your hard work will always get rewarded. Sometimes not timely, but you always will get the reward that you deserve in life. I truly believe in that. And that's a testament to all the guys that came up, from City 2, and not just come up, but contribute in meaningful ways to the first team this year.
Josh, giving back to the community is something that you're very well known for. Over the past year, you've supported the supporters essentially. So showing up to different charity soccer matches, things like that. Mm-hmm. How has that engagement and the community of St. Louis added to the overall story of this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's special because you look at this team and its supporters and again, I go back to 2020 when COVID was happening and we're playing, behind closed doors, and it's not the same. You're still the same game with the same rules, but it's not the same. There was something missing, and it's the fans. And I think what makes what we do really special, it's the fans and the engagement that you have with them. And this community does that really well. We've had fans that were here before the team was started and has stuck with the team. And I remember, my first encounter with the fans, they just embracing me as one of their own. And so for me, it was always special just to have that engagement with the fans, to make myself available when possible, and to be a part of them, because I have truly enjoyed my time here and knowing everyone and all the fan engagements, because it's a special city, it's a special group, and I'm really fortunate that we have a fan base like we do. Take even for our away games, like just this past weekend in Kansas, like looking up and just seeing a sea of red, city red, and it's like, man, felt a little bit like you were home, and that's truly special. Not every team has that, support selling out every game. It's, when we played KC here in the first round, man, it's 9:30 kickoff, on the school night, and it's sold out. You're not going to have that in many cities many places in this league. And so the fans, I have a special place in my heart for them and for everything that they do for us. And, when I go to these engagements, it's just my way of saying thank you for everything that they've done for me personally and for this club. Oh.
Josh, Brad talked all year long about you being a leader on the team, even when you weren't playing a lot of minutes. What were you doing then that made you demonstrated to people your leadership?
Yeah, I mean, again, you have a team, I don't know how many people are on our roster, 28, thereabout, and you can only field 11 on the field at a time. You can only have 20 in the match day roster. So yeah, I do understand it's as players, it's frustrating when you're not playing. But again, everyone on that roster has a part to play. Whether you're not making the game day roster, well, then in training, what are you doing to push the guys that are maybe starting the game or that are maybe going to be in the 20? What is your attitude? And you can always do something to make the team better. And for me, that's in the beginning when I wasn't playing, that's the part that I figured out, and that's the part that I embraced. And we have some young kids on the team, and when they were impatient, just telling them, hey, it's okay, just keep going, keep pushing. It's everyone's going to get the opportunity at some point, and you have to be ready, because if a coach gives an opportunity in one game and you don't perform, guess what? You're back on the bench, and you might be there forever because you didn't take the opportunity well. And so for me, just demonstrating to guys that you have to stay ready at all times. You have to push, and everything you do is, collectively, is it contributing to the well-being of the team? Are you giving to the team, or are you taking from the team? And when you start taking from the team, whether it's with your attitude or not giving your best, it's a problem. And so just demonstrating that through what I did in training and in and around the locker room. But it's tough. Again, it's easy to sit here now and say all that, but when you're going through it, mentally it's challenging, but still pushing yourself to be a better teammate every day.
I didn't want to knock over his coffee. It's, well, now I know that. Well, now I know. Oh my God.
I'm still here. We're good. We can talk.
How do you sum up what you've seen here since January with this club?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about this, I don't know, countless times. You know, going into the season, everybody thought we were going to be nothing. We proved everyone wrong. I think we put this city and this club on the map. And now I'm excited because there's an expectation here, you know, within the club, within the locker room, and within the city too. You know, I think we have this expectation now that we set high that we're competing in this league and we're competing to win. We set an expectation with our stadium, with our fans, with the atmosphere. So this is a club that, you know, people are going to take notice and want to be at.
What do you guys have to do going into next season? This year, there was kind of everyone with axes to grind and to prove themselves. Now that you've done that, what do you guys have to bring next season to keep this going?
Yeah, it's finding a different motivation, right? I think the beginning of the year, we all had the same kind of feeling, the same kind of motivation that was carrying us. And once we kind of surpassed that, it was time to find something new. And I think next season, it's time to find something new again. It's to prove that we can take the next step. You know, we did well in the regular season, but we want trophies here. So that's kind of what it comes down to now. And we've set that expectation, like I said. So, yeah.
Obviously you had a nice step from the previous team to this team. I'm asking some of the players about Parker, because I figure you'd have a good perspective because both play defense, both have been in the league. Can you just put into words the accomplishment that was, or put into words everything he accomplished this year, like how hard it is after all these years in the league to suddenly become an all-star and become face of a franchise and have a beer?
Yeah, he's given like guys like me hope too that I can still have that, you know, in my career too. But no, I couldn't be happier for Tim. You know, I came into the league and Tim was somebody who helped me in Vancouver my first year. We became close, so you know we've always had that connection. And you know, to see him go from team to team and have success there, but then come here and really kind of rewrite his career and rejuvenate it. I think I said in an interview, like, you know, a few months ago, I think he is kind of the definition of this club. Like he is the guy that is everything that St. Louis, the city and the club wanted to be, and, you know, in this league. And yeah, I'm really happy for him. I think he deserves everything that he's gotten because he's one of the hardest working, nicest guys. He's a born leader. Yeah, I can't say anything, you know, nice about him.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Next, we go to John Lupo.
Jake, how do you go from a season where the team defied all expectations, where there really were none coming into the year, to now, if not having a target on your back, having expectations? Well, what do you think will be the key to shifting that mentality so you know you're ready for that next year when inevitably there will be more expected of this team?
Yeah, I think it's just realizing that we are going to have those expectations. It's coming to terms with now that, you know, we've put ourselves on the map. It's shifting that mentality into knowing that, you know, people are going to expect us to perform now. Our fans are, you know, our city is. And I think that's taking the next step as a club, is to knowing that, you know, there's a little more pressure now. And I think that's going to make us stronger.
Everybody comes to this team with their own unique story. Yours is one of the most unique. 6 years at one club, coming over here. I think you might be the only player who's consistently had former media follow you to your press conferences. So yeah. How has all of what you had in Vancouver compared to St. Louis from what you expected coming to the first new clubs that you joined the league?
Yeah. I loved my time in Vancouver. You know, I always say that. Is the first club that, you know, really took a chance on me when I don't think a lot of clubs were.
and I enjoyed my time. And I think my time was up after 6 years, and I was ready for a new challenge. And when St. Louis kind of became an option for me, I did all this research. I saw all the buzz around the city, and I did have expectations of saying, this could be really exciting. Like this could be something special. And then when you go out on the first game day, first home game, and you see really what it is here, it surpassed anything I ever, asked for or wanted. I feel like here I'm at a proper like soccer club, and it feels right and it feels good. You feel like it's almost like you feel like the sense of importance that you have towards the city, and that connection that we've formed with everybody, with the fans within the city. So it's something really special, and I'm excited to be a part of it next year and to see us grow, not just as a team, but as a club, and as a city as well.
Jake, you guys are all going to be St. Louis heroes as a result of this. I mean, I don't know how aware you are of the way St. Louis treats it. Probably pretty aware by now. It's heroes, and you guys are going to have a special place for the rest of your lives here. How's that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want, right? Like as a player, a professional athlete, like one of the things that you look for in your career is to be remembered. And I think that this season with this particular group of guys who won't be together again, just because that's how the nature of the business. So we'll always have that as one team together, that we've made history and we did it together. And I'll never forget this season.
When you look at how the season ended, after 34 games, how does that make you feel with the way that, because in America, we remember teams by playoffs. So I mean, what does that do to how you think the world looks at your season?
Yeah, I think you have to take a step back and see, where we started and where we got to. I don't think anybody in the locker room is happy about how the way the season ended. We're happy with, how we got to this point, but I think we all wanted more and we expected more from each other and from this group. And it's sad that we weren't able to keep it going, because I think we did have a special group, and it just didn't end the way, we wanted. So it gives us motivation for next year to be able to try and take that head on and take that next step.
Is there a moment that stands out to you from the season?
I think it's the first home game. And yes, that's my goal, by the way. I'm still owning that goal. Yeah, you could say it's an own goal, but no, I think just that the first time walking out, when the lineups go out into center of the field, that's when I knew I felt like, yeah, I'm home. This feels right. So it was a pretty special moment. I had my whole family here. And I think my dad shed a tear. I was like, I've never seen this guy cry. He's like, and after the game, he's like, this is where you belong. So it just felt, everything felt right. And that's a testament to the city and testament to the fans and the club. So, yeah.
Jake, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Kyle is one of these guys who started with City 2 last year, went through all that and now all of this. What are these last 2 years, and especially this last year, been like? And what have you seen in the community at large with what this club has meant?
Yeah, I think it meant so much to the city in general, to all the soccer fans that were here, that were advocating for this team. And then I think we saw that group last year with City 2. And I think we saw something new this year, which was that group. It kind of like there was a magnetism, and they pulled other people in the city towards this team. And, we helped to do that as well. So it's fun to have the whole city behind us for the entire year this year.
Just how much has it hurt after the phenomenal regular season to have it end so quickly?
Yeah, it sucks. It was, you look back and I'm thankful for the year we had, but unsatisfied with how it ended. So it was frustrating. It's pro sports, we made the playoffs, we did well, but we had more, and so to not not get a run in the playoffs was tough to take.
I mean, you think that changes how, maybe not how you guys look at the season, but how the world at large looks at what you guys did this season?
Yeah, I don't know. I try not to focus on that too much, what the world at large, thinks about our season. We care what we think about as a group, and, the standards that we set, and what the coaches think. So the world will think what the world will think.
Justin.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about your personal growth this season, coming from NCAA ranks to City 2 to now MLS and the Canadian national team. I mean, what kind of whirlwind has this season been like for you?
Yeah, I remember at the start, every week it just kept getting better and better. So I was like, what is going on? And we were winning, and then I scored, and then I got called into Canada, and I got my first cap, and then we were setting all kinds of records. So extremely blessed. Yeah, this year. And looking back, it's fun, just remembering all the good times along the way.
Your growth also came with new positions. So how has that impacted, now that you can look at the entire season as a whole? You basically converted from a center back to a left back for the duration of the year, almost out of, necessity, what you need from the lineup. But how was that growth for your game, and how do you look to carry that forward? Is that something that maybe you're planning on, trying to get better at left back this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think that's something I was excited to do. I'd never done before, but was able to add some versatility to my game. It's fun to venture a little bit further forward up the pitch too. So I'm, wherever they need me, I'm happy to slot in. And just in terms of formationally, what you do on the ball and off the ball, like sometimes left back can look a little bit more like left center back, or it could be even higher up, pending, how they're pressing and whatnot. So I think that's something that's important for me, for St. Louis or for Canada, or just my growth as a footballer, is can I get better overall as a player? And I think playing at left back helped do that.
Next we go to Njabulo.
Kyle, this obviously was a very special group of players. Is there one moment that stands out for you, just sharing it with these guys, knowing the expectations weren't high in the beginning of the season? Is there sort of one moment that just sticks out for you, just sharing it with the rest of the team?
Yeah, I mean, probably my favorite moment of the year was still Austin, the first ever win. We're on the road against a team that was in the Western Conference Final the year before. It's a sold out stadium. I think the last couple of games in preseason, we hadn't been scoring as much as we liked. And then that game was just a whirlwind. It was like a whole day in a couple of moments of we score, and then we go behind, and we come back and we equalize. And it's like, oh, we can steal a point on the road, and then we get the winner, and it's like, we can really do this. And I think that set the tone for the whole year.
Kyle, you mentioned to reach different milestones during the season. As one of the players that played in City 2, how special was it for you to see some of your teammates in City 2 also succeed with City and contribute significantly?
Yeah, we knew that City 2, that team was not going to stay the same, that group was going to go different directions. But for those of us that were able to continue to stay with this club, we were super thankful. And it's almost like you really wanted those guys to do well, and so when Celio had his moment, and he definitely meant to shoot that, in the playoff game, put it right in the top corner. It's like you're extra happy that it's him. Or when Akil gets his first assist against Toronto on the road for a big away win, like you're rooting those guys on, all the time.
Brendan?
Kyle, some of the other fellas today talked about how the game changes from regular season to the playoffs a little bit. Can you pinpoint certain areas that do change, and maybe find elements in preparation that need to happen that maybe you didn't know were there before?
Yeah, I would say Sporting KC, they definitely changed from the first time they played us until the playoff game. It was like a completely different style. So the first time they played us, it was, we're going to stick to our philosophy. We're going to keep the ball. We're going to play through you guys. And that didn't work. And so I think even like the later regular season game, they said, we're going to kick it into your half. We're going to turn this into just a fight and a second ball battle. And, we kind of got punched in the mouth in the first game. And then we said, okay, if like that's the way they want to play it, like that's the way we'll play it too. And so just it's a battle. I think there's throughout the course of the year, teams will you'll want to stick to your philosophies and your way of doing things. But then in playoffs, it kind of turned into just a scrum and just, can you be a better team, putting their team, on the back foot and winning second balls, winning duels, all those things are just heightened in the playoffs.
We'll wrap up with Tom Schwartz.
Cal, what are you going to do in the off season? What there is of an off season?
Yeah. I mean, I'm on standby for Canada. So I'm going to train a couple of days and be ready in case they do call. And I'll be here in St. Louis for a good portion. I'm going to take a CPA exam in December. So lock myself in a room and do some studying. And
can I get you to do my taxes then? Or?
Yeah, we'll talk next year. That works, Tom.
Kyle, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kyle.